What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about some very important levels to watch for, what's going on with the price action, give you guys a very, very important evaluation. But let me just mention that I'm not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, don't forget to smash the like button. It not only benefits me, this benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, for Tesla, we got this nice little push up to this 211 area in the morning, only to get a big rejection. And the whole market's kind of rejecting a bit as we're now approaching supports. And this is happening as a result of the fact that it turns out CPI was most likely priced in for the most part yesterday during that pump. And then for today, I mean, as far as the way CPI went, the market got a little push once this came out, only to form a trap, and this led to a liquidity grab that led to more downside after that. So, it happens. Sometimes the market does this, but at the end of the day, with this happening, Tesla's still kind of looking lackluster. I saw some important news that came out that NHTSA's evaluation for Tesla suspension failure is now closed. This was when they were kind of like doing an evaluation on about 75,000 Tesla vehicles. But so far, this doesn't necessarily put Tesla in the clear. I do want to note that this is a decent piece of news because they're basically saying that they're not going to continue to investigate this with as much detail, and it's something that's worth noting. There were some instances where they had some suspension issues, but it's not really enough for them to really investigate. So that's what's making a lot of headlines right now. As far as the market goes now, Tesla was trying to break out. We had a nice accumulation structure. We needed to see this thing break past this resistance right here around 211 to really start pushing, but we got a rejection instead. So now we're looking at basically this 202 area as an area of interest. That's our 20 EMA in the 4-hour time frame. We got to try to hold above 202. If we don't hold this, we're at risk of coming all the way back down to 200. If not, this imbalance towards 197. So just be careful with Tesla. There is a risk of downside if we don't reclaim 202, and it's looking a little bit weak compared to the markets. SPY is still technically flat. The QQQ is a little bit down, but Tesla, of all things, is down 3%. So just be careful. There is that risk of downside amidst all this news, not to mention, how CPI was priced in. Tesla was pumping really hard yesterday, so it's becoming very volatile. We got a nice pump yesterday when the market was up a little bit. And then as the market's down a bit, Tesla's kind of dumping harder. So you can see volatility is increasing for Tesla. So we'll have to see how things progress from here. As far as SPY goes, we're kind of flat right now, but I do want to note that we're not looking the best. And the reason for that is because we haven't been able to crack that key resistance. So SPY is only down 0.05%. It's not officially getting a big rejection or anything like that yet. I wouldn't necessarily make the call yet, but just note this. When you look at the technicals, okay, we had a bearish divergence on the 1-hour time frame that formed right over here. On top of this, we're seeing volume really decreasing, whereas simultaneously, we actually formed this high right here with the bearish divergence. So we're looking at 542 as a resistance. If we try to break that, I'm looking at 544. We need to crack 544 to turn back up. And if we fail to do so, we're at risk of dipping lower. So 542 is our resistance. We have support. We're seeing buyers trying to defend the 541.5 area. And if that breaks, like I said before, 540 is going to be our target, at least for SPY. There are buyers trying to defend it, but like I said, it's very choppy right now. We'll have to see if we can reclaim some key levels. And if we don't, I'm going to be looking at this 540 area as a key level. Now, if we lose 540, we're going down to 538, if not 535. We did push very nicely, but now we're starting to slow down just a bit. So we'll see how well SPY ends up doing. It's kind of flat right now. It's not necessarily like rejecting or crashing or anything like that. We're only down 0.03% on SPY, so just don't panic or anything. But I just wanted to call out that we still look kind of lackluster. I just want to say it's a little lackluster compared to what we were looking like yesterday and before. So we'll see if SPY gets a rejection or not. So far, we kind of pumped a bit upon open and then started dipping. So we'll give this some time just to see how this develops. I also want to call out ES. So on ES, let me go back to, let me just double check this, our 4-hour time frame. What you'll see is we had this big rejection. So we were trying to break our 200 EMA on ES, which happens to be around 45 or 54, 56. um, we got to reclaim that. If we don't reclaim this, we're at risk of kind of rejecting here. So this could lead to a move back down. all the way down to maybe like the lower 5400s. So just be careful. This could lead to a little bit of a lackluster move. So I want to just give you guys a heads up about this and how this could affect the markets. For other stocks like Nvidia did pump to almost 120. That was my target. We came close, only to get a big rejection. We're looking at 115 as support. If that does not hold us, we're going down to 113, then 109. And if we do hold this, we're looking at resistance at 116, then eventually 120. But like I said, Nvidia is forming kind of like a cup right now. Could this be like a cup and handle that's about to form, or are we about to see a bigger decline? Technically, it's still on a downtrend. We were trying to start this bounce, but we weren't able to break this high. So we want to be very, very careful with Nvidia. And there is a risk with retesting 113 again. So just be careful, guys. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. For others out there like SPX is also fighting resistance around 5450. We'll have to see if we get a rejection there or not. So watch 5411 as our key supports just to see how things end up developing. And then I also want to call out Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not looking that great. We pushed all the way up to about 61,700 only to reject off our 200 EMA. And see how we have a double top forming on Bitcoin. So it's not looking that great. This could favor more downside later on, especially on the 4 hours. So just be very mindful of that. The market is showing weakness as a result. For NQ, it's the same thing. Essentially, we came very close to our 200 EMA only to reject. So we're looking at 19,000 as an area of interest. If we fail to hold it, I think we're going to retrace to at least 18,800, if not 18,718. So there is that risk of downside. For other stocks out there, such as the QQQ, we pushed up to 464, which is what my target was. I was hoping we would break this and start pushing even higher, but instead we got a rejection off 464. So with that happening, look at 460 is our very, very key level. If we can't hold that, we're going all the way down to 458 and 455. Watch those two supports. And our resistance is currently going to be around 462.5, then 464. We still are barely at 460, but there is that risk of downside, especially as returning right now. So I'm going to wait on this. Apple's flat, completely flat right now. We were trying to break past 222.5. Now we're turning a bit. We could dip a little bit if we don't reclaim it, and then we could be approaching this 219 area. So just be very mindful of that. Still has a little bit of a lackluster rejection. So I'm going to be very, very careful with Apple. For others out there, like the IWM, I got a nice pump to about 212, a little bit under 212, only to reject. So we're barely holding 206.7. If we hold 206.7, we could rebound to 208. If we lose 206.7, we could be dipping. It looks like this might be a rejection forming. So there's that risk of us coming back down to about 204, in my opinion. So just be very mindful of this and be kind of careful with the IWM. For Coinbase, we needed to reclaim 204. I thought we were going to test 204. We came just short of that as well. I mean, we did almost touch it, only to come back down. Now we have to hold 195 or else we're at risk of dipping towards 188. And if that breaks, we're going to be looking for gaps support at 182, then eventually the gap fill for 178. So those are going to be your supports. There is a risk of us dipping down to support. For Amzn, we have resistance around 171. If we reject here, we're looking at 168 as support, followed by 165. And if we reclaim 171, we could bounce. There's a risk of us dipping now, looking at our 50 EMA. Meta pushed to 530 as I predicted, but we weren't able to break through it, and we're starting to turn. Look at 525 as our key support. If we hold that, we could hold up. If we lose that, we could be dipping back down to 520. So give the market some time just to see how things end up developing. For other tickers out there, we also have Microsoft. Microsoft is barely holding 412, so we'll have to see if this holds or not. If we lose 412, look for 409. If we hold this, we could rebound. But look at 412 as key support, and then Google's also at 160 right now. We'll have to see if 160 holds. If this fails, we're going down to 158, and that's where we saw buyers step in. So that's going to be our super critical support, so we'll have to just give that some time. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Just as a reminder, SPY is very choppy right now. We're still in the 541s. I would have liked to see us break past 544 to really start pushing, but otherwise there is that risk of a bit of a turn right now. So just be careful. I'm going to give this some time just to see how things develop, but just know the market is looking a little bit lackluster. And right now there are bears stepping in and they're gaining a bigger edge compared to before. So with a lot of what happened with CPI being priced in, be mindful of that. And I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys in a few hours, and peace out.